Hi, I often get asked how I ended up being an osteopath, a nutritional therapist, and a Pilates instructor, and so I thought I would share my story. Like many other healthcare practitioners, my journey is very much linked to my health struggles. In 2006, when I was 28, and I was a physiotherapist and a Pilates instructor at that time, uh, by the end of a really tough time in my personal life, I started to develop acne in my face. It was very surprising how my skin would suddenly erupt like that, given that I had never suffered with acne before. So, as many people do, I went to a dermatologist who put me on antibiotics first. It didn't work, and then she prescribed me the oral contraceptive pill, which also didn't work. So I changed dermatologist, and I also started to see many doctors like gynecologist, endocrinologist, ultrasounds. I did lots of blood tests. I spent a lot of money and time, and we found out that my ovaries and my thyroid were not working optimally. So the new dermatologist put me on Roaccutane, and with the Roaccutane, my skin finally cleared. Meanwhile, during one of a routine checkup with a dentist, I experienced a huge pain in my jaw. And the morning after that session, when I woke up, I just couldn't open my mouth more than a couple of centimeters, and I wasn't able to put the fork in. It took me months to understand what to do, and initially I developed compensatory movements with my jaw in order to open my mouth to an acceptable level. And there were mouth guards, I saw osteopaths, I did treatments, and all those treatments helped me. My jaw slightly improved. I could eat normally in a way, but it was clicking, it was painful if I did a sudden movement, and it was still dysfunctional. So one day, I was at a physio course. It was a Messier course, and I asked the course leader, who was an osteopath, if he could help me with my jaw. So we started a course of cranial osteopathy treatments, and thanks to that, my jaw finally improved. So by the end of the course of treatment, I was able to fully open my mouth, to be pain-free, to be functional. It was absolutely incredible. So that experience enhanced my passion for osteopathy that was already there. It had been there for years, but it went up to a different level. And also at that moment, I decided that I wanted to be an osteopath too. Unfortunately, while my jaw was improving, the acne in my face came back, and with that, a whole host of new symptoms, probably post-Roaccutane, started to appear. So I developed brain fog, indigestion, sensitivity to smell, sensitivity to alcohol. I was tired, I was fatigued. So I really was exhausted, I was tired. I knew I needed to change something. I didn't know how and what, but I knew that I needed a new approach to health. And so I started with saying no to a new course of medications. I've always been a positive person, and I often believe that things happen for a reason. So I tend to do a lot of introspection and learn from negative experiences. I was very much open to receiving a new perspective on these matters. One day I was in the waiting room of a doctor's clinic, and I picked up a magazine to read. Whilst browsing, a page caught up my attention. It was a book advertisement called Ultra Metabolism by Dr. Mark Hyman. Now, if you're from the functional medicine field, you will know immediately who the author was, but 14 years ago, I was totally ignoring his name and I was more attracted by the title. The title made me believe that I could finally put an end to my constant battle with my weight by improving my metabolism. And instead, the book did a lot more than that. It actually changed my life. So I ordered the book and I read it eagerly. There was a lot of information about genes, about food, the quality of food, and how our environment impact our health. It was written on the basis of the functional medicine principles, which are addressing and identifying the root causes of disease. Everything in the book was interesting, but it was more like giving a futuristic car to a person that doesn't even have a driving license. What do I do with all this information? So I started to read a lot more around the subject and I changed my diet for what it was possible. I replaced flour-based products for whole grains and I added more variety in general. I didn't lose weight and my acne didn't go away by just following the book's tips or simply changing my diet. But the understanding and the awareness of the power of food, it really stuck with me and it never left. By the end of 2010, I needed a break from everything. I was still not feeling well and I was unfulfilled. So I decided to leave and I moved to Australia. I lived in Melbourne for 1.5 years, and although it wasn't the dreamy adventure you could imagine, my English was very poor and money was tight. It was the experience that opened new doors to me. Melbourne was very open to alternative medicine and natural healing, and it felt the right place to be at that time. So I went to see a nutritionist and finally she helped me completely heal my skin. The whole experience was very positive and my acne cleared up completely for good. And the whole experience also increased my interest and my curiosity for food and for a healthy lifestyle. Although I was in Melbourne working as a physiotherapist and a Pilates instructor, in the back of my mind there was still osteopathy. The way osteopathy helped me in the previous years, it was incredible. And the whole concept of the body heal itself, when given the right tools to do so, it was just fascinating. In September 2012, I flew from Melbourne to London, and in a blink of an eye, I was a student at the British School of Osteopathy. I studied very hard for 4 years to gain a master's degree, and 1 year after graduation, I enrolled at the College of Naturopathic Medicine to become a nutritional therapist. During these years of study and simultaneously working, my stress levels were over the roof. Although my acne had already gone, for some reason, some of my symptoms still persisted. So I still had brain fog, I still had digestion, I felt bloated, I felt tired, and I was experiencing new symptoms like acid reflux and also joint pain. So I put it down for a long time to stress until my body literally gave up and it sent me the biggest signal ever. I started to faint often, my eyes were blurry, my cognition was altered, I couldn't eat certain food because I would react to anything, and I also I felt unable to breathe properly and I had the need to spend hours outside gasping for air. I'm not sure how many times I have been to the A&E, but I would call the ambulance every day and they would tell me to call my doctor instead because all my blood test results were not concerning. To top it all, I was in the middle of my nutrition final exams and I was only 4 months away from my wedding day. Once again, I tried to get my life together, take some time off, refuse all the medications given, this time antidepressant and omeprazole, and I contacted a functional medicine practitioner and my osteopath. In just a few weeks, I was able to function, breathe better, eat more food variety and think. However, the whole journey took much longer than that. With trial and errors and testing, we found out I had histamine intolerance and mycotoxins in my gut. I had lived in several moldy houses in London, and it is highly likely that my already overwhelmed immune system couldn't cope with mold spores too. In the end, my joint pain disappeared, my gut fully recovered, my brain function came back, and my whole health was totally restored. So this is my story. It's quite long, I apologize, but this is to say that I believe in the natural narrative and the ability of the body to heal itself. I believe in osteopathy and nutrition deeply in my bones, and that's why I do what I do, because we have two incredible tools on our doorstep, and I want to spread the word about their incredible benefits. Before I finish, I would like to say that everyone's journey is different, and that my decision to not take medications may have been completely inappropriate for another person. Whilst I believe that in an otherwise healthy person it is possible to stay away from over-medicating, many people could benefit from a combination of a medical treatment and a more natural approach.